Okay, thanks for being here, everybody. I want to go ahead and jump in and read the question as it's written and try to leave a little time at the end for Q&A. So here's the question: why does Lee ask for support every year, especially when it already charges tuition? So I'm going to break this up into three parts. The first is a practical answer, and that is simply that tuition does not cover the cost of delivering the education. If you think about the infrastructure and all the personnel that it takes, there is no college in America that charges enough tuition to cover those costs. So that creates what we call a tuition gap, and they have to find a way to close that gap for the students. So public universities close that gap with tax revenue, tax dollars. Private universities like Lee do not have that option. So they have to seek support from alumni and friends. And that creates what we call an educational life cycle. And that simply means while you're at Lee and you're a student, alumni and friends believe in the vision of the university and are donating to close that gap for you. You'll never know them, probably never meet them, but they're closing that gap because they believe in Lee. And then likewise, when you graduate, we need you, as you're able, to turn and close that gap for somebody else. And then hopefully, over your lifetime, your capacity to do that grows. And that's this life cycle. Well, that whole model really arises out of a historical context that started with the first college in America. So when the good folks of Boston in 1636 wanted to begin a college, they had big dreams but very little money. So they were not able to start their college using the model that they saw in Europe, which was to endow a university, put a lot of money in the bank. That money will generate interest and it'll pay all the bills. In Boston, they didn't have that kind of money, so they had to go make their case to the public and seek support from them. And so all the colleges following Harvard use that same model. William and Mary, Yale, Princeton, Columbia, so forth, right up until today, including Lee. So we go out and make our case every year to our alumni and friends and say, this is what we're doing, will you support us? And so that brings us really to the last part of my answer, which is a philosophical answer, and I think it comes down to this. With all the colleges and universities already in America, we have to ask ourselves this question: are the graduates who are coming out and going into the operating room, into the classroom and the courtroom and the boardroom, those that are coming out of Lee and who will be nurses and who will go into the film industry and so forth, are they different somehow in an important way because they went to Lee? Are the experiences that you as an alum that you had at Lee with your professors and in the organizations that you were a part of, being on a campus where Christ is King, is something happening at Lee that we think is different and very important, and we want people in all those important positions to come from a place like Lee? And if the answer to that question is yes, then we need support. Because it's by that support that Lee not only exists but thrives far into the future and produces those kind of graduates. And so those are the three reasons why we seek support every year from our friends and alumni. So let me close it down there and take any questions you might have. Yes?